Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube. Time to talk about Ms. Marvel. I'm here with cousin Cheeto. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing good. Just keeping myself in quarantine over here.
I totally understand. And D Jose 101. How you doing?
This is
Okay.
the next episode of Miss Marvel, brought to you by Disney Plus, and also brought to you by Shang-Chi. Pick it up now on Blu-ray. I don't know why I had to do a shameless plug, but shameless plugs always work. Anyway,
Sorry, I do
this is a good episode.
apologize. I'm having a little couple of technical difficulties here, but I think I've got it covered now.
Right.
All right. So this episode is called Seeing Red, and finally, I feel that we got the most Marvel-esque episode of the series so far. Would you guys agree, Jose?
I'd say a lot of action was in this one. I really, really enjoyed it. You really got to see like more of her powers, and it looks like Kamala's like starting to kind of figure things out, put the pieces together. So I think Marvel is actually listening to its fans, because I know last week we were complaining about like, oh, they got to start, explaining shit, and they got to start, letting us in on stuff, and they've been doing that. And jumping ahead a little bit, there is kind of a little bit of an inside joke. When the dude was like, "What are you, American?" and then she's like, "Well, how do you know I'm not Canadian?"
Yeah.
Considering Aman Vellani is Canadian, she's Pakistan Canadian, which was actually pretty funny.
Yeah, I
If they
picked
threw
up
that
on
line
that.
in there.
I did pick up on that joke as well. Cheeto, I know you're suffering a little bit, mate, but do you feel like finally starting to get into some of that Marvel territory?
Actually, I would have to say that I'm not exactly a fan of this episode because I was in the camp of what the fuck is going on. I tried to watch it. I wasn't at work today, so I was actually able to sit down and watch it on my TV rather than at work. And I don't know. I just was like, okay, wait. So these people that she was introduced to are bad. I got that. Now these people like every week she's introduced to a new group of people that are either bad or good, or at least try to kill her at one point or another.
Or kidnap her.
And it's just like, yeah, it was very marvelly and it was very action packed, and she's kind of getting her stride and everything like that. But at the same time, I was just kind of like, what? Like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. These people are chasing Ms. Marvel and her friends now, and I mean, there's talks of other dimensions and yada yada, and that I can get behind, but I don't know. It it took me out of the theme of where this show originally was taking us, in my opinion. As I said, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying that it's, the worst Marvel Disney Plus show ever. But I just kind of was like, this episode, I was just like, okay, where are we going with this? And why are we on mopeds and bicycles trying to chase each other?
Now, I know a lot of you guys might look to me when it comes to the history of the partition, but unfortunately, I know fuck all about it. You see, even though I am Central Asian, in my ethnicity,
Ethnicity.
yeah, but I'm from East Africa because there are lots of people from Asia who, prior to the partition, because like when the partition happened, that was pretty much the end of British colonialism in that part of the world. And prior to that, they sent a lot of people of my race, Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, a lot. They sent them all to fucking East Africa, to other British colonies like Tanzania, Kenya, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, places like that. And so my ancestry comes from that part of the world. So when my parents were growing up and their parents were growing up and so on, all that partition shit they weren't even giving a fuck about because it was happening, other side of the fucking planet, as far as they were concerned. So yeah, I know very little about it, but I'll try to give you what information I do know. But yes, overall, before we start talking about this episode, what did you think of it, Jose?
I thought it was actually a really good episode, just based on like all the actions and stuff like that. But I can understand where Cheeto is kind of coming from, where it's like, okay, yeah, like where the fuck are we going? It's like at the same time they did explain some shit, but at the same time you're still wondering like, all right, where the fuck are we going? It's like one week you're doing this, the next week you're doing that. So they still got to figure some things out, but they have to finish strong because we've only got two more episodes to go. And I understand you can't give everything away, immediately, but like these next 2 episodes are going to have to fucking bring it. It was great in terms of action, but we still need to know, like, okay, what the fuck is going on? Leaves you with more questions than answers, I think.
I agree. I think this whole season regarding Revelation, it's been very messy, very choppy, and I think also some of the action was a bit heavily edited, and it wasn't as smooth as I would like it to be. Like, I really wanted to appreciate what I was watching, but I felt the choppiness, and I think any person taking the role of director has got to know that you've got to do more like action orientated one takes, even with an actor or an actress who's not necessarily the most mobile. You've got to do it in one take. Like maybe like at least 10 seconds on the screen before you chop to another angle.
And let me ask you this: let me ask you guys this: what do you guys think about the pacing of this episode too? Because in part, I felt like the pacing was kind of a little confusing too with some of the scenes in it, with the way they were going.
Cheetah.
I mean, it was a bit fast paced. As I said, I had a hard time following a lot of it. Yeah, as I said, this episode was extremely hard to follow, in my opinion. I did enjoy kind of some of the early stuff in the episode, and even the first fight where the Electro dude wannabe with the red mask over his face was I mean, that fight was okay, I thought, but then like the big chase scene in the marketplace and everything like that just kind of was like, this is okay. What's going on here?
Yep. Why are we doing this? Yep.
Yeah. The pacing for me, I think it was a bit erratic. It's hard to really say. Like, I just like I do like this show and stuff like that, but sometimes when it's just being culturally aware of itself, it's fun. But when it's trying to be on the more Marvel side about, okay, we're going into the mystical realms and all that sort of shit, I have no idea what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, when they go a little too over the top, you're like, all right, I can't follow this. You got to slow it down just a bit.
Our villains are pretty much anonymous as well. Like, I don't really care about them. And
yeah, like I don't really care like why Macha or whatever the fuck her name is going after this bangle. Like when they introduced her, I was like, oh, okay, so she's gonna be, the big bad or whatever. And I'm like, am I really supposed to believe that this bitch can take down Miss Marvel? Because I don't believe it. I'm like, I'm not buying it.
Well, I mean,
at this stage she can, because Miss Marvel doesn't know shit.
Yeah, in this state she could take her down, but if it was like in New Jersey or wherever the fuck they live, it'd be like, okay, yeah, I couldn't buy it.
Well, I mean, the thing is that we got like 4 different organizations of people. You know what I mean? Like we've got the DODC, we've got whatever the group in episode 2 or 3 was. We've got
the clandestines.
The clandestine. Then we got what are they called? The red what?
The red
daggers.
Yeah, the red daggers. Now it's like, okay, we've got I get it. We didn't in the beginning. We said we didn't want like a super villain per se, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, I think there's now too many groups that are vying for this bangle, and it's just like, I'm having a hard time keeping up with who's who and what, and who's dead and who's not, and who's fighting and who's I don't know.
Yeah. I do agree. It's a real shame, really, because I do like the cultural aspects of this show. I really enjoy seeing stuff that I recognize and knowing that people who are not familiar with it are understanding other cultures as well. At the same time, when it needs to be a Marvel show, I just think it's kind of failing on that, and it's a shame. But anyway, let's do the breakdown. So this is Ms. Marvel, episode 4, Seeing Red. Kamala's on a plane going to Karachi, Pakistan. And she's with her mum, and the mum is basically explaining that because we're going to see Granny, I'm not going to ground you just yet because...
But you fucked up, right? Yeah, you fucked up.
Yeah, but you fucked up your brother's wedding.
Yeah.
And you're going to pay for that the moment you...
the moment we set foot back home, you're getting your ass. Yeah.
Now, they arrive at the airport and they meet Granny, a.k.a. Nanny, which is what I'm going to be calling her, and 2 of her cousins. And this is the funny thing, because watching this episode twice, it made me realize that when they arrived at the airport, it's pretty much nighttime. But by the time they get back to Granny's house,
It's daytime.
It's daytime. So
That's what I mean with the pacing. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's a long drive.
Mm-hmm.
But once they arrive at Granny's house, we probably have the biggest debate of all debates now. Who's the better golden retriever, Magnum or Lucky the pizza dog? Because it's all about those fucking goldies.
Riker is the best Goldie.
Yeah, I'm talking about on television. Hello,
Riker
Commodore.
can be on television. He's good.
Cool, but he's not in the Marvel universe, isn't he? So
Yet.
But it'd be really cool. Like I saw this on New Rockstar. They made a joke saying we could have Magnum PD, so Magnum Pizza Dog.
Oh god.
Okay, so anyway, Riker. Nice,
What's
lovely.
up, dog?
And I can see your cat just sleeping in the background.
Yeah, she don't give a shit. She's just like, yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Kamala sees Nanny's art and drawings, including a picture of her great grandmother Aisha. And by the way, this is why, just sidetracking here to Falcon and Winter Soldier. What was the name of the Black Captain America? I forget, his name escapes me. Isaac or Isaiah?
Oh yeah. Fuck.
And we see that young lad who's living with him, and people kept saying that's his grandson. No, it's got to be his great fucking grandson, because we can, because he's just too fucking old from the period of the Second World War to be this kid's fucking grandson.
Yeah, he's got to be his great grandkid. That's what I think too. Like that's your great grandfather.
Yeah, exactly. And I was making that argument last time with these motherfuckers.
Anyway, Isaiah Bradley.
Okay,
yeah, exactly, yeah. Anyway, Kamala asked her nanny about the bangle, and Kamala has been basically told that very casually by her grandmother that she's a jinn, and that even the granny once wore it to get herself out of trouble. And Granny says that the visions they're having is because you're destined for something, and so we do find that out a little bit later to a degree. Interrupt me anytime you want, fellas. Let me quickly get to Daniel Vance here. Kamala's phone was a Nokia phone. Guess they couldn't get the
Nokia name. Yeah, that's like in Family Guy when they reference McDonald's, and it's like we know what the fuck you're talking about.
I'm surprised with the working with Spider-Man. That they don't do Sony.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
and yet Xbox doesn't get a mention.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway. Nokia phone and a friend called Nokia as well. That's pretty cool. So Kamala's cousin takes her to the boat club, but unfortunately she's wearing jeans and they cannot enter the building, and they have to eat outside on the patio and have to eat from the patio menu.
They have to eat from the patio menu, and they have to eat the spicy food. That is what just happened. And Kamala was like, "Oh hell no, we are not going to eat this today."
Look, honestly, I kind of facepalm because after she met another auntie, as you do, and she rips on her name for being Kamala, Kamala eats what we call a pani puri, and please, Jose, look for this shit. You'll fucking love it, man. It's gorgeous. Yeah, pani puris. And she eats one, and she found it a bit spicy. I'm thinking, seriously, girl? Seriously, you're finding this spicy? Now, if your cousin Cheeto, who finds mayonnaise spicy, yes, you will find that spicy. But you being of Pakistan descent, living in a Pakistani household,
you should be used to that kind of shit.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not like your mum and dad's making fish and chips every fucking day. You're eating curries and stuff like that.
I think hot sauce is spicy. So I mean, like,
Look, what it is that there's a difference between adding a layer of heat on your food and the dish just being traditionally spicy. If you know what I mean. Can you handle hot sauce, Cheeto?
I'm sorry, one more time?
Can you handle hot sauce?
Oh no. If there's any hot to it, I'm out.
Fuck, then there goes the hope of having Cheeto on hot ones.
No, that's not happening.
But you eat Mexican food, don't you?
Every now and then. I eat like enchiladas and stuff, but that's not spicy. At least let me put it this way. At least in Mexican places around my place, that food's not spicy. Like, at least
you don't eat like Mexican food. Like if you were really to go down in the country and eat that kind of food, then it'd be one thing. But yeah,
Yeah,
So
no,
like
I don't think
Tex-Mex.
even the Mexican places are. I'm not talking Taco Bell. Like even like
Yeah, you're
we have
talking
a
like
place called like El Racon and El
mhm.
Macas. I mean, I don't think that they make it as spicy as like they could or traditionally would make it.
Anyway, let's continue here. So like Kamala's cousins take her on a tour around town, and then they take the piss out of her and they call her an ABCD,
Yeah.
which is
Is
hilarious.
this not good enough for the ABCD Instagram? And then he goes into the joke, and then she's like, "I know what the fuck it means."
American-born confused Desi.
Let's see. Yep.
Yeah, and that made me laugh my ass off because I've been called. It's funny thing is that the term BBC is been used before, like British-born confused, but BBC
Yeah,
means
I had no
various
idea what
things.
that was. Like
A
I
B C D.
yeah.
Yeah. I only found that today, by the way, because I'm not American. So
This is funny as hell. It's kind of unrelated, but Renee Young, like, she asked like what BBC means, and then like she comes back and she's like, "Oh my God, why did I Google that?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
yeah, it's
The,
amazing how
the things you read on
yeah.
the internet is hilarious. It never gets old sometimes.
Now this is the part of the episode where I found it a bit weird because Kamala's cousins just ditch her.
Mm-hmm. They're
Like,
like,
so,
"All right, history lesson's over. Yeah,
like
we got to get the fuck out of here."
we're gonna, you come to our country, our part of the world, where you and you don't know shit. We're supposed to look after you, and we're just gonna ditch you.
Yep, they just took off like that. Like it was like, okay, yeah, her cousins served no purpose in this episode. Like they were there for like 5 minutes, and then it was like, all
Yeah.
right, peace, bitch. And then
Now,
she's like, all right, I gotta figure out how to get to this fucking train station.
I'm just going to give to Daniel Vance. Kamala's great grandpa's name was Hassan Nana. Yes, Hassan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Hassan's the name. The Nana means like grandfather. So, but Hassan Nana is old Islamic parable about God being benevolent and understanding to those who break the laws of God for moral reasons. This is why I'm an atheist, man, but I don't know what any of that shit means. But anyways, nevertheless, uh, she gets ditched because she wants to see a train station. They don't want to show the train station, so she's on her own. She ends up bribing a photographer who gives Kamala fucked up directions, and this is where I think some of the stuff was put on the cutting room floor because she gives all these crazy directions. Then she's confused, has no idea where she's supposed to be going. But the very next scene,
Yeah,
she's
she
at the
gets
train
into a
station.
fight. Yeah,
Well,
or
no,
she's at the train station. Yeah.
yeah, she's at the train. So like, I do feel that there must have been some footage of her being lost and not finding the place, but they had to chop it down, and so she's obviously just find the place. But yeah, um, she just find the place. So there we go. So as Kamala investigates the station, she puts on her mask. I mean, she obviously can anticipate trouble here, and then she meets a red dagger who senses her Noor, and they battle physically and verbally. Kamala makes an inside joke about being Canadian, and then there's a part where she catches the Red Dagger's dagger.
She's looking at it like, this motherfucker did not just try to stab me, and then the way she tried to throw it.
Yeah, when she threw it back, I love that. I love that.
Coordination is dope when she caught it, but then when it comes to throwing it, she can't throw for shit.
Yeah, she can't throw for shit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like she needs to hang around with fucking Clint Barton for a bit.
Yeah.
But she and the Red Dagger come to a quick understanding. He says to her, "Come with me
if you want to live."
Which is hilarious, But I did like that. Yeah, a lot of Easter eggs in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And then they end up hiding out in a Chinese restaurant, and that was pretty cool.
Like, all right, well, he's like, and then she's like, "Don't tell me you're about to get ready to kill me because I'm not ready to be in a murder mystery documentary." And he's like, "You need to look more than what's in front of you." And then they reveal the compartment, the secret entryway, which was cool, into their base.
Yeah. As they enter the catacombs, we meet the leader of the daggers called Walid. This particular actor, I forgot his name, but he is a Bollywood actor, and he tells her about the history of the Red Daggers. They've been around for hundreds of years. He shows her the map of the clandestines world, and how our world and their world coexist. And the Noor is the energy source of the other realm. And if the clandestines take down the barrier using the bangle, their world will take down our world. And then we find out there's an inscription on the bangle as well, and it basically says what you seek is seeking you. And then this started getting me thinking, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. And then we cut to the clandestines, and the clandestines break out of jail, and Kamran's mum basically leaves Kamran behind, saying,
Yeah, like, okay, yeah, you broke my rules, so now you got to live with what choice you decided to make.
Yeah, but considering they're a small group of people anyway, they probably needed everyone they can get. But yes, I guess Cameron ended up being a liability. But if they did see Kamala again, they wouldn't know where his loyalties lies. So, excuse me. So Kamala sees Nani again, and they're on the balcony looking at kites. This was a lovely scene. More was a wife from Nani saying that she's still finding out who she wants to be, and then we see the kites basically just in the sense of how Kamala's seeing things. The kites turn into a message from I think his name is Kieran.
Yeah,
Kieran or whatever his name is.
Something like that.
Or Chemo or something like that.
Well, Chemo's his nickname.
Yeah, Chemo.
But there's too many characters with a name K, with the letter K in their first name. So, but yeah, so Kamala meets Chemo, aka the Red Dagger, and I have to say one thing: like Kamala's got a lot of guys lusting after her now, hasn't she? Like this guy Chemo, he seems like somebody she's mildly attracted to. Obviously, she likes Cameron as well, and there's Bruno too, man. So yeah, she's got all the.
And I hate to tell Ginger, even though he's not here, they're not going to make Bruno gay. Because I know he said that the first week. They were like, they're going to make him gay. I'm like, nope. He'll end up getting shipped off to California. That's where I see this going.
Man, I already saw the writing on the wall.
But they're at least going to shag at least once before they go their ways.
I'm not sure they shag, but I think they might kiss. But it's almost like a forbidden relationship, so to speak, because they're like from two different worlds, even though they've known each other since they've been kids and stuff like that. But we'll see how this pans out. But nevertheless, Kamala and Chemo, they're on the beach chilling with some friends, eating biryani. There's something else you need to try, Jose. Biryani.
Oh yeah, and there was that one part when they were in the thing, and then she ate the other spicy food, and she's like, "What the fuck is it with all this spicy food?" That was a good running gag in this episode.
No, but I don't get it. No, this is wrong. Like writers, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is wrong. Like like she can eat spicy. She'd be able to eat spicy food without even thinking about taking a sip of water. You know what I mean? This is who she is culturally. Like, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, the pacing. It's all.
Honestly, when they do stuff like that, it gets me very upset. Like, and by the way, just to go on a tangent here, like there's spicy in the sense of how people of my culture eat it, and then there's spicy in the sense of how white people who can eat spicy food, who can really eat spicy food, how they eat it. Because when they eat spicy food, it's a fucking competition. You know what I mean? That's why we have curries like vindaloos and stuff like that. Those are curries, people of my ethnicity don't touch. You know why? Because it's pure fucking heat. It neutralizes your fucking taste buds. Next thing you know, your fucking nose is running and you're fighting your food. And without a doubt, you're going to be shitting lava in the morning.
That's the way it is. If you watch, like here in America, if you watch that show Hot Ones, when they get to like the halfway point of the hot sauce, they cannot fucking handle it. Most of them can't.
Spice is an ingredient, I like a bit of heat in my food and stuff like that. But when it all it is heat.
When it's boiling, you don't want that or anything beyond boiling. Yeah. You're like, this is not gonna work for me, brother.
If your taste buds are getting neutralized, then what's the fucking point? I need my taste buds to taste the fucking food, and so like sometimes when I'm with certain people and I think to myself, okay, they're gonna go for this vindaloo shit because they can heat their spice. Because even though I am ethnicity Asian and all of that, for me, the people who can eat the most spiciest food are white people. The ones in this country who can fucking eat, who love their curries, they love their fucking hot, spicy food. They fucking love it. They can eat hotter than I can. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable. Anyway, let's continue. So Kamala's mom and Nani are finally having that chat now. Kamala's not about. Nani left toffee boxes because she knows her daughter loves them. Kamala's mom thinks that Nani needs to come to America to live with them. Kamala's mom also says that she left Pakistan because Nani was living in a fantasy, making up stories, and thought she was crazy, and she needed a mother growing up, not a dreamer, which was a nice little moment between the two. And then Kamala is getting some training from Waleed, and she gets given a green coat. Now, by the way, this next bit is pretty much the last part of the episode. So before I go on any further, anything you want to add so far, Cheeto? Sorry,
oh yeah, Cheeto can go first.
Not really. I mean, as I said, the kind of the breakneck pace of this episode kind of was where it kind of fell off for me, and where it was kind of like, what's going on? Who are these guys? Interdimensional what? Like, I understand the merging universes thing and the merging, like this universe will now merge with this universe and this is our world on top of it. I understand that, but I'm just like, wow, I didn't realize that they were going this far into, because I mean, and not that I have a problem with them changing Kamala's origins, but it's like, are we really like doing another multi-dimensional species thing with this street level hero?
Did you watch did you notice the 10 rings in last week's episode?
I'm sorry?
The 10 rings in last week's episode. Did you see that?
No,
Well, when we got the flashback where Aisha finds the bangle on that Kree arm and stuff, there's one time where the camera gets a shot above them, and if you look well, you see the 10 rings.
Okay. So now I think I got an inkling of what the fuck this is leaning toward. It'll be sometime down the road, but I got an idea.
So there's something there with that, if you know what I mean. So
yep. I think I got a pretty good idea of where this is going to go.
Anyways, all right. So now I'm going to get to this final bit, which is quite long. So at any point you want to intervene, let me know. But from this particular moment, when this particular scene starts, it's all the way to the end.
Yep.
So Kamala is getting some training from Waleed, and she gets given a green coat. And next thing you know, boom, the clandestines are here. So somehow the clandestines are not only able to break out of jail, but they get over to fucking Pakistan, which is the other side of the fucking world. And they kind of know where they are, but they can sense the Noor and stuff like that. Fair enough. But how the fuck did they get to Pakistan in the first place? They're wanted men.
This is that thing of it going way too fucking fast, like Cheeto was saying.
Before I continue, let me quickly get to Daniel Wantz here. That bangle is made for something bigger than you. And the 10 rings are of Maklan dragon origin. We've seen the dragons in Shang-Chi and Daredevil. Mm-hmm. Well, like those people were like Michelle Yeoh was living. They were living in an alternative realm and stuff like that, weren't they? So, and Iron Fist, but that was a forgettable series. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But that's because they casted an actor who, don't get me wrong, he played a good Danny Rand. He can't fight for shit. You know what I mean? And nowadays, unless you go get an actor who can, in my opinion,
who knows how to throw some hands. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like the greatest martial artist in the world, but they need to be somebody who knows. When you want the camera on them and you want them to see them fight, you don't want some fucking stunt double in a wig. All right. So as I said before, the clandestines break in, and we have a little bit of a fighting until the fight gets taken on the streets. And probably this is the best part of the episode regarding all the action scenes.
Yeah, there's a chase scene, which was pretty cool.
Have you seen the movie Octopussy by any chance? A James Bond movie?
It's been years since I've seen that movie.
That was like where you had the Indian bad guy and stuff like that. And there was a scene where they were going on the tuk-tuks around the streets of Delhi. And stuff like that, and it kind of reminded me of that a little bit when they were being chased, but they're going around the streets of Karachi and they're tuk-tuks and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. But we get a tuk-tuk chase, and Kamala saves an innocent family with her powers, causing the truck chasing them to overturn. And this is the part where it gets pretty cool. Waleed, he separates the carriage from the steering, and then Chemo and Kamala are now doing a wheelie through the streets. It was really well done, I have to admit. While Khalid distracts the clandestines, and then Kamala jumps into a van, and she still can't drive for shit. And not only can she not drive, she's also now on the other side of the road, other side of the car.
And then she's like, "How the fuck do I work this shit?" And then she just completely fucks up all those all that food. because they were
Well,
a
yeah,
food truck.
I thought so.
Yeah.
It's like so many innocent people are losing their livelihoods here. By the
Yeah.
way, so, anyway,
Mhm.
she saves Chemo by hitting a clandestine with a car, which was also another pretty cool move. And then Wally shows some cool Assassin's Creed techniques with his blades before giving up his life to save Chemo and Kamala. And then then Chemo and Kamala they run into a dead end and get ready to fight. And after a bit of a brawl, Cameron's mum spikes the dagger into Kamala's bracelet, and it somehow seems to send her back in time, probably to the period of the partition, where many Muslims were sent to the northern part of India that would be renamed to Pakistan, and yeah, that's where it is. So
And
I
she's
do
standing on top of the train.
now I do feel like there's a time paradox here. Like a paradox basically means that something you have to go back in time to do something that happened. You have to do that. That's in, and because like something you hear some story about a bit like John Connor and in Terminator, his
Mhm.
father was Reese who came back in time. If Reese doesn't go back in time, John Connor doesn't get born. So
Yeah,
it's a
she's gonna
bit
do something to like alter history somehow or some such shit.
no.
Maybe.
It's not that. It's like
Ah,
when you in the early episodes when you heard them talking about how the grandmother was lost and she was following the stars and stuff like that. I think that's going to be Kamala helping in a way.
yeah,
So I think the grandma's whole thing is that she knows that Kamala helped her when she was a kid,
yeah,
and that's why she wanted Kamala to come to Karachi in the first place, so she fulfills her destiny of going back in time and doing what she did, before. It's like a time circle. She has to keep doing this. So I do feel that she's going to basically do what she was always supposed to do,
yeah. She's gonna
and
go help her grandmother Aisha.
yeah, she's gonna help great grandmother up, help her grandmother out. Probably make sure that her grandmother gets back to her dad,
Yep,
her great grandfather, and probably help Aisha out as well.
yep.
I think Aisha and the clandestines in the past probably stab her in the back or something like that, and maybe uh, Kamala stops that or something along those particular lines.
Yeah,
But eventually she's gonna get her costume because
yeah. You know it's coming. It's one of those things like you just know kind of where you're gonna see it go.
I just feel that this has become a bit of a Marvel trope. The
Hmm.
episode 5 is the we have to go back to the past episode.
And that's
You know,
exactly what they're gonna do with this one.
they've done that with this one. They did that with well, not episode 5, but the penultimate episode in One Division.
Yep.
You know, um, they kind of did that. I think with Falcon and Winter Soldier, they definitely uh, did that with Hawkeye when he had to face his past regarding that deaf girl and stuff like that for killing her father and all of that.
Yep.
Um, and they did that with Moon Knight as well when he went into the psychic room and he had to remember his past as a kid and all of that sort of
Yep.
stuff.
And
They
here we
do
go
this.
again.
They do that with the penultimate episode of all their fucking shows.
And they're gonna do it with
Yeah.
She-Hulk too. I'm calling it right now. When we start reviewing She-Hulk by this time in a couple months or less than that, there will be a past She-Hulk episode or some such shit or something connecting her past of like how this happened and how that happened. That's exactly where they're going because Marvel always does that.
Exactly, and this time that regarding going into the past, it's more than ever because she fucking time traveled.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Vance says Marvel needs more heroes that understand the time travel or the multiverse. Well,
I think that's where they're getting ready to head to, Daniel. I think that's what they're trying to aim toward is more people.
what's happened here because I believe it's a time loop and it's something that's supposed to happen. You won't see the TVA, but sometimes with all these other things that have been created within the MCU, you would like to see a little dabble of it now in other shows. Like you create the TVA, well, then maybe for argument's sake, maybe my theory is wrong. Maybe the TVA comes and tries to stop fucking Kamala from doing whatever she's doing because she's not supposed to be there.
Yeah,
You
because
know what I mean?
because I know Loki season 2, I think is still confirmed for next year. I know we're going to get a second season for that.
Finale, not
Not
event.
event.
Oh, sorry. I apologize. I missed what you said earlier. Overall, the show is really sweet, but my god, the action is silly. Yeah. Also, this episode confirmed.
Another
Yeah,
world
another
ending.
world-ending finale. Yeah.
When isn't the world in fucking danger?
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean,
exactly.
the one thing I could say is it wouldn't be Marvel if the world wasn't always in danger.
Well, was it? It wasn't in danger in Hawkeye, was it? You know, just or was it? I can't remember. No, it wasn't. It was basically about Clint Barton just basically trying to get home back for Christmas
Yep.
and all of that. And was it in danger? Yeah, it was in danger in fucking Moon Knight. You had fucking, you know, what I mean, you had like Kong versus Godzilla at the end.
Okay, so most of the time it's in danger, but you know, about 95% of the time it wouldn't be Marvel if the world wasn't always in fucking peril or in danger or some shit.
But that's one of the things that I like about the street level heroes, like the Hawkeye series and like the Captain America series or the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like, I don't need some freaking world-ending event every single time. Like,
Yep.
That's why I like Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like, it's not world-ending. It's not, you know, yeah, there's stakes, but they're not like world-ending stakes.
Yeah, it's like, you know, if this science gets out, it could destroy the world. But at the moment, there's no imminent danger. But if this secret or whatever the fuck gets out, then there could be danger. Like there's implications of that kind of thing in Ant-Man.
Ant-Man 3 might be.
Ant-Man 3 is when Kang is going to be coming in and fucking shit up. That's when, yeah.
So, and I think it was Jake in our group who was basically expecting Kang to show up at certain points. Well, this would be a good time for Kang to show up, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So will he show up? I don't think so.
I think Miss Marvel somehow is when he has to, at least a glimpse, if nothing else, make an appearance. Because I think one of these days, one of these videos we may have to do is like a debate: Kang versus Thanos, who's the worst? That would be interesting.
Ant-Man I wasn't a fan of, but I agree they didn't have world-ending events. Thought the third could be, the third could be different. Yeah, I think Ant-Man 3.
Ant-Man 3 is going to be one of the world-ending ones because when Kang comes in and multiplies and fucks everybody up.
I don't know how they're going to pull that off. You know, it's going to be.
Jonathan Majors as Kang, though, was the right choice, definitely. I do like Jonathan Majors playing Kang.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, the funny thing is, in Thor Ragnarok, they had a world-ending event, and the world did end in Asgard.
Yep.
So it had to end, you know, which is kind of cool. I did appreciate that, you know, because it flipped it on its head. Like, okay, the way to win is to destroy the world. Majors is a corrector, yeah, he is.
Yeah.
But you know, it's about time we start getting big fat doses of him because yes, we did see him in Loki. But come on, like,
and Feige also said too, the big baddie has not been revealed yet. Like the guy that the Avengers are going to be going after this next phase has not been revealed. I'm like, it has to be Kang, either him or Doctor Doom or Galactus. Any one of those three could equally be the big bad that the Avengers got to take out.
I feel like I'm also getting kind of geared up for an Avengers movie now.
Yeah, because it has to happen. And here's the thing too. This is the first phase where we do not have an Avengers movie.
It feels almost wrong.
Mm-hmm. It feels weird not having one.
Yeah, because they're doing so much shit. So you could do a Kang series. Yeah, any series based on the antagonist. I know they kind of done one with Loki to a degree, but they made. Yeah, they WWE-fied him. You know, popular bad guy. Yeah, he's a popular bad guy. Let's make him good.
And then we're going to act like his bad guy shit never existed. John Cena.
It's like the whole point of popular bad guys is because they're bad. Keep them bad. You know, Howard Stern recently confirmed that for a hot mic that he's involved in the MCU, with the MCU and Doctor Doom. Yeah, but Howard Stern, you know, he's a troll as well, mate. But if the way he explained it was him slipping some shit out by accident, then fair enough. How old is Howard Stern? He must be in his 70s now. No?
Let me take a look. He also said too he's considering running for president, given what the fuck just happened in this great country of ours.
Feige said that they won't
They
do
won't do
Avengers, but
another
of course,
Avengers. Yeah, they'll do another Avengers. They're not
people
just going to end it with Tony Stark dying and Cap
Wait,
becoming old.
Howard
want
Stern is involved in the MCU.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was he? What is he? The dirty ass grandpa? Like what? Like what? What the fuck is Howard Stern gonna do? The only person he can play is Scarecrow, and that's not even Marvel.
Yeah, Howard Stern would play himself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
he said, let's see, how old is this motherfucker?
Kang comes back and he says, I went to do an interview in front of the world, and I want to be interviewed by the legendary Howard Stern. And like, they're sitting there going, what?
The fuck? What? Yeah, all right.
Okay, before you tell me his age, but I'm sure you're checking it.
Yep, I know what it is.
My money's on either 68 or 72.
75.
68.
Really?
There we go.
Yep.
Yeah. There we go. All right, so I'm kind of happy about that. That's what we call a good guess. So, what do you think is going to happen next week, boys? I'll start with you, Chia.
We're gonna get more awkward fight scenes, and we're in the past. So
we're in the past.
You might be half right on that, though.
Yeah. So Kamala's gonna stumble around, fish out of water, and she's going to stumble upon her great grandmother or her grandmother, whichever one it is, and she's going to interrupt the timeline or something, and it's actually all destined to be all along. And D. Jose is going to show up and say, "That doesn't work for me, brother." And then the whole time, and then the TVA is going to show up and take them all away. I don't know. I really don't know where they're going with this because, as I said, they kind of the past, like, this episode really kind of threw everything
into a loop and said, "Yeah, fuck all." Yep.
Yeah, like, I mean, last episode I'd be like, okay, this is still pretty much a ground level, street level kind of thing. Now they're talking about world-ending events, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like, they're going to go to another dimension, and it's going to be like people wear pants on their head. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, it's like Call of Duty Ghosts, where it was like, okay, the campaign started out so fucking normal, like, oh, you're fishing and having a good time. Next thing you know, the fucking world blows up. It'll be that kind of shit where, like, next week, okay, yeah, I'm in the past. I met my grandmother, and then shit goes from bad to worse. And that's going to be next week's episode.
What do you think, Jose?
It's going to go from bad to worse. That's going to be next week's episode. She's in the past. She meets her grandmother or great-grandmother, and then there's going to be like, we found you, and now we got to fuck shit up. And then, like, this will be the episode where Kamala will probably either get kidnapped or, like, threaten a fucking or, like, a relative will end up being like, we're going to break this bitch's neck if you don't come with us right now, kind of thing. And then she'll be like, okay. And then that's how that episode ends. So, dude, yeah, shit's going to go from bad to worse next week.
Daniel Vance hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, an audio version of Doom?
No, this one.
Gary was right.
Yeah.
Well, look, the funny thing that I should have realized, because they've been giving us this history lesson of the partition for pretty much this whole fucking series.
Yep.
Partition. And so I think we're going to get more of that history lesson for sure. How it's going to play out is going to be very interesting. Like I said, I know very little about it because it was, the people of my family and stuff are from East Africa, so they weren't involved in all of that shit when it happened.
Right.
So,
but you'll get an understanding of what the fuck that means.
Yeah, for sure. I'm kind of curious because I really know very little about it, and honestly, from the Desis and Asians I know, who are not East African, like. No, you hear stuff like the way some people are going on about it. It's like it's similar to the Holocaust. I don't think so, but in the sense that it's very not. When I say I'm not saying people are getting gassed and stuff, but the tragicness of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I honestly never really heard people talk about it ever. Yes, we talk about the British colonizing Asia and Africa and stuff like that. But this particular incident. No one ever talks about it. It's a history lesson I know nothing about. And you know what? I'm looking forward to being enlightened. The only thing is, I'm going to be given a Disney history lesson.
Yeah, Disney's going to watch the fuck out of it. You already know. Yeah. They're going to be like, they'll be like, okay, yeah, we'll tell you kind of what happened. Like, we'll make it look violent, but we're going to PG or TV 14ify it. Like, it'll be like, oh, people will be getting their ass beat, but they won't be showing like the real violent type of shit.
Yeah, it's basically like the
during that
Muslims.
time.
You go over here, Muslims, and the Hindus. You stay down here. We'll have this big piece of land for ourselves, and all the Muslims will just tuck you in this fucking corner up there. But Pakistan, honestly, there's parts of Pakistan is it's very beautiful. But nevertheless, I do feel that's just the basic rundown of it. But India has loads of fucking Muslims still. It's not like they got rid of every single one and stuck it up in Pakistan. There's it's there was large scale violence with essence accompanying or preceding the partition disputed and vary between several 100,000 and 2 million.
And Disney's not going to do any of that. They won't go that far. They may show like, oh, okay, this is like some violence, but they're not going to go all the way with it because you know how it goes.
Yeah. This was also during the period of Gandhi.
Zam, did you freeze?
I think he did.
I think he's frozen.
Okay.
Maybe he got Thanos.
Yeah, maybe he got snapped. All right. Well, then I guess I'm taking over here. So DH, how do you rate this episode?
I would give this honestly maybe about a 6. Like I thought it was good, but it wasn't great. Like the first couple episodes, the first 2 have been like amazing. They've been really, really good, and then they started falling off in episode 3, and now it's kind of like, okay, yeah, the pacing, it went kind of all over the place. Yes, it was action packed. If you love the action packed segments, you're going to get what you want out of this. But other than that, it's like you said, they still got a lot to explain, and they still got, things to figure out. So they need to pick it up for these last 2 episodes. We've got 2 weeks left.
Yeah. I mean, I'll probably give it a 5. As I said, the breakneck pace and everything kind of lost me. Although the fight scenes are still kind of goofy, but that's okay. Like I don't mind that because it's like this is a teenage girl who has no training.
Yeah.
Like, I really felt the first 3 episodes were probably on point for what I was looking for, and so now it's more just like now we're getting into, as you said, the interstellar end of everything, merging universes thing, and I'm like, the problem is they did that in only 1 episode.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I was like, what the actual hell is going on? Just a couple comments here. Ginger Greek says 10 to 20 million displaced. I think that's when we were talking about some of the stuff Zam was talking about earlier. Probably see Gandhi. Well, maybe it might be interesting to see the MCU's take on Gandhi.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I agree. First 2 episodes were great, and the last 2 have been really dumb.
Yeah, so they got to pick it up. They got to pick it up for these last couple episodes, and go ahead.
I don't think they need to pick it up. I think they need to like reel it in, honestly. Like when you say pick it up, I think like more crazy action packedness. I'm more wanting them to scale it back a little bit. Like I'm like I was enjoying the first 3 episodes where everything was just like kind of ground level and whatever. But
I know what I meant to say. I meant to say like finish strong, because I know where this is going. We all know that it's all to introduce Miss Marvels, which comes out in a year. Or not Miss Marvel, but The Marvels, which is coming out in a year. So we know how this is going to end. It'll be with Carol Danvers, Monica Rambeau showing up like, hey, and that'll be that. At least that's how I see it ending anyway.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we've kind of talked this episode to death. So unfortunately, Zam is not with us anymore. Rest his soul, ye very faithful, or whatever.
God bless him. God bless you, Zam.
All right. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Everybody, thank you very much for joining us. D. Jose, thank you very much for joining us for Miss Marvel. Some stuff on the horizon. Tomorrow we have our reviews of Strange New Worlds and the Orville New Horizons. On Friday, I believe we have Ginger Greek and Zam and maybe some others doing The Boys. And who knows what we have coming up this weekend. I'm sure we have some shenanigans. Zam said he hates you guys. Well, that's true. Yep. I mean, he does hate us, and that's okay because
he hates everything. I mean, it wouldn't be Zam if he didn't hate.
Yeah, right.
If Zam started loving us all, I'd be afraid. I'd be very afraid.
Haters gonna hate. So anyway, with all that being said, thank you very much for joining us. Please don't forget to give us a like, leave a comment down below if you're watching on the Rewind, and subscribe to NerdTube. We are the greatest YouTube channel you've never heard of. And me and D Jose will catch you guys in the next one. Catch you later.
Assalamu alaikum. May the fourth be with you.